Christie, we couldn't get Ann Coulter to call the fat bastard from New Jersey last time. Let's see if she'll do it this time. Or at least admit that the pictures of Chris Christie and Barack Obama walking down the tarmac together look like Larry the Cucumber and Bob the Tomato. Now we have...
You're a VeggieTales fan, right?
We have a...
Right, Ann?
We have a...
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
We have a picture. We thought Larry the Cucumber, but when you take... What's the guy's name?
Archibald, the asparagus?
Archibald the asparagus. He really...
Much better.
He kind of looks like Barack Obama.
Yeah.
If Barack Obama would use a monocle and Bob the Tomato, I mean, it's that's who they are.
I'm really enjoying this today.
Yeah. Come on, will you say this?
I will admit I have put in an emergency call to Chris Christie to find out if it's true that he wept when he met Bruce Springsteen, because that may be the first thing that's going to knock it down.
Knock it down. Say
knock
it.
him
Say
down
it.
In my esteem. But I do have an important update for you.
Wait. We're not going to let you out. I'm an alcoholic, and the first step to recovery is to admit you have a Chris Christie problem. Say it. He's a fat bastard.
Say it. He's dead to you.
I think the hurricane hurts.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yes.
With or without Chris Christie.
But Christie certainly didn't help.
It didn't help. I doubt it moved the dial much more than the incumbency issue, which is what I wrote about yesterday. I think it's the real problem, and I certainly hadn't thought about it, which is weird, because that was the whole reason I was so wild about Chris Christie midway through Obama's term, and famously said if we didn't run Christie, our nominee would be Romney and he'd lose. And I think I was wrong about that. At least it didn't happen the way I expected it to happen. I think Romney was the best candidate we could have possibly run this time. But the reason I said that,
but he did lose. You do know that, right? He did lose.
Yes, I do know that. But I think Christie probably would have lost by more. Maybe I hope I'm wrong about that, since we may run him in 4 years. But,
no.
But the reason I said that about Christie is it's almost impossible to take out an incumbent. Republicans have done it one time in the last 100 years. That was Ronald Reagan in 1980. And I just thought Chris Christie was the sort of galvanizing star. I mean, I know so many people who have never worked in politics, serious right-wingers who were off doing other serious jobs. And I would say half of them said, if that man ever runs for president, I believe what I'm doing and come work for him. So he was exciting in a way Ronald Reagan was. That's why I thought he was the candidate. I don't think it made that much of a difference. I think Sandy made a huge difference. It did take, but incumbency was the main thing of all. But one important update I have, because because Chris Christie is not going to be our president, at least today, and Obama is. Obama did the same thing with Michael Bloomberg. That's why Michael Bloomberg wrote that endorsement in the New York Times, which if you read, I got that tip from insiders in New York. That was a shakedown for an endorsement with playing with federal disaster relief funds, which had been why I said Christie invited Obama in. He had to care about New Jersey. He needed federal disaster relief funds, and as quickly as possible. If you read Bloomberg's endorsement that ran in the New York Times after Sandy hit, get down to the last paragraph and see if that sounds like a ringing endorsement or someone who had a gun to his head.
Well, I got news for you. Then Chris Christie is even less the man than you think he is. And believe me, I've seen the pictures. He's quite a man. No, he what I like about Chris Christie is when he's standing in front of people and he knows what he believes and he says it. And he stands in front of the cameras and he'll say, "I'm sorry, that's just the way it is." And he's real, and I love that. But if he folded, and
I don't think it was a specific demand. I think he knew what happened when he became governor the first time. I mean, at the beginning, when the Obama Department of Justice said, no child left behind funds for you because you didn't produce the October 2006
but there's a difference.
Numbers.
There's a difference between an education number that nobody can get around your arms around And Chris Christie getting on television, the one thing he's good about and good with is the television camera and being able to connect with people and get on and say, look, I didn't kiss his butt, but I didn't kiss Romney's butt either. I'm busy doing my thing, and I'm not going to have anybody turn this into politics. And now our state was affected by it, and that's wrong. And I think people would have lined up to help him. I mean,
it's very hard to prove that the government is being more incompetent than it is just on its own. When they're working hard, it's difficult to tell the difference from when they're purposefully getting there slowly.
If nothing else, though, isn't this a good argument that states shouldn't be have a gun held to their head? They shouldn't be dependent on federal funds for situations like this?
That's why one of 1 million reasons I'm heartbroken that Romney will never be our president. That was his plan. Oh, there were so many things he was going to fix. You know, the only thing I was thinking last night, because I mean, to have America deprived of having this president who could have fixed so much that is broken is just heartbreaking. But I do think we'll see. We're going to work hard. There's not only do you have the law of incumbency, where it's very hard to take out a midterm president. And, you know, the other example of that is 2004. And I know it didn't occur to me until 2 nights ago because I thought John Kerry was just a jackass, which he was. Yet and still 2 years later, Republicans were wiped out in the congressional elections, which does suggest Americans were not thrilled with Republicans in the middle of the last decade. And yet they voted to reelect George Bush. I think that was the incumbency rule operating. I mean, it is kind of strange that this is all some segment of the society, including us, have been talking about for the past year, and what we ended up with was the exact same president, basically the same Senate, and basically the same House. Nothing changed after all this, and that was when I started thinking about how powerful incumbency is. But the flip side to the rule of incumbency is, in the midterm, the party out of power usually comes roaring back. But we have to be really careful about our nominees, and no more Sharon Angles or Christine O'Donnell's. I love them, but no. And definitely no Richard Murdochs and Todd Akins. And when it comes time to pick a president, I also think Romney was hurt. And, you know, sometimes this is inevitable, but it wasn't inevitable this time. To have that primary go on and on and on, I'm sure it hurt John Kerry. It definitely hurt Mitt Romney. Obama was spending money denouncing Romney as a rich, elitist, out-of-touch country clubber in Ohio. He always knew Ohio was big. That's why he was working Ohio since he became president. He was running those ads against Romney starting in February. Well, Romney couldn't get out of the primaries to start his general election campaign until June. So his negatives were sky high in Ohio, and so something else. And again, I love many of the House members who ran for president, but they're never going to be president, and they shouldn't run anymore. And even more than them, I love Herman Cain and I love 999. But if you haven't won a major election, and not just in a little House seat, you're probably never going to be president, so you shouldn't run.
I like that.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of rules there.
Republican governors.
So no former pizza executives and no House members.
That's demeaning a little bit.
Unless they've won an election,
right?
Preferably, I think probably for governor. I just don't think a House member can do it. Those are very small districts. There's something.
Governor or senator?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Ann. Yeah, take a deep breath.
That's going to save a lot of time the next time we're running against an incumbent, but that probably won't be till 2024.
Take a deep breath. Remember, you're the one who likes Bob the Tomato. Now, let me ask you this.